Some people cannot go unnoticed. They do not make an effort, do not draw attention on purpose. But still, everyone notices when they arrive. There is something in them that calls, that attracts, that stirs the environment. And it is not charisma or beauty. It is something deeper. Perhaps you are one of those people. Perhaps you have felt, from a very early age, that people look at you differently, that your presence has weight, even when you are silent. This is not an illusion. It is a spiritual mark. And those who carry this mark are the chosen ones. It is not about feeling better than anyone else. It is about knowing that there is something inside you that the world recognizes, even without understanding it. And no matter how much you try to live a common life, something sets you apart. Something highlights you. And this comes from above, not from you. Today, you will understand 7 spiritual reasons why the chosen ones are noticed. Some may explain what you have never been able to put into words. Others will ignite something that has been dormant. But all will confirm what, deep down, you already felt. If this type of content makes sense to you, feel free to follow the channel now. I am George, and here I talk to those who carry something different, something from heaven. Let's go together. Your light is not an exaggeration. It is purpose. You were not born by chance. Even before you existed, God had already set you apart. The choice was His, not yours. You did not seek it. You were called. And when heaven chooses someone, that person is marked. In the spiritual world, this is noticed. In the natural world too. Because everything around begins to respond to the presence you carry. From a very young age, perhaps you felt that you were different. While others lived distracted, you observed. While they laughed for no reason, you wondered about the reasons behind things. This is not oddness, it is sensitivity. God was already awakening in you something that cannot be learned, something that does not depend on anyone, only on the divine choice. Being chosen is not about merit, it is about purpose. God saw you when no one else did, and He set you apart when you did not even know what that meant. It was amidst your confusion that He marked you. And from that moment on, your journey would no longer be the same as everyone else's. This mark you carry draws attention effortlessly. Sometimes it attracts admiration. Other times, it provokes rejection. And not because you do something different, but because you are different. Your presence disturbs where there is darkness. Your essence activates reactions. Not everyone understands, but many feel. This is the weight of the choice. You may have even tried to fit in, to live like others, to blend in. But nothing worked. God did not allow it. Because those who are set apart for something greater will never function in smaller environments. And even if it hurt, it was protection. Heaven did not call you to be common. He called you to manifest something that comes from Him. There comes a time when you stop seeking approval. You understand that what you carry does not depend on applause. Your life is an answer. Your existence is a strategy. You are not trying to stand out. You are trying to obey. And that is what truly matters. Heaven already knows who you are. Now it is your turn to embrace that as well. Have you noticed how some people approach you just to talk, even without much intimacy? Sometimes they don't even know why, but they feel peace in your presence. This happens because there is something in you that transmits calm, that soothes the environment, that changes the atmosphere. This is not something that is learned, it is carried. This light that comes from within is not about beauty, charisma, or pretty words. It comes from a soul that has been shaped by deep experiences. And these experiences have made room for something divine to dwell within you. When that happens, it cannot be hidden. People feel it. The light you emanate cannot be manufactured. It is genuine. Some will call this good energy. Others will say it is something spiritual. But deep down you know it is more than that. It is the presence of God reflected in someone who has chosen not to be corrupted, even while going through pain. In someone who preferred to keep their heart clean when the world tried to soil it. This is what shines in you. It is not about being perfect. It is about having been restored. Those who undergo deep spiritual processes carry marks that the world does not understand, but respects. These marks become light. And this light protects you, guides you, sets you apart. Even in silence, you touch those around you. And the most beautiful part is that you don't even realize it. Have you noticed that your presence often calms those who are anxious? Or that your words come at just the right time, even when you don't know what is happening with the other person? This is the reflection of your spiritual sensitivity. It's as if something within you is always connected to heaven, even when your mind is tired. People who carry this light are not recognized by titles, clothes, or status. They are recognized by the peace they carry in their eyes, by the truth that comes from their mouths, by the healing embrace. Sometimes you don't even say anything, but those next to you feel that something has changed just by being near. This light does not come from formulas. It comes from within, from a place where you had to heal, forgive yourself, and reconnect with purpose. When you draw near to God, something begins to be activated in you. And over time, it overflows. It cannot be hidden. A clean soul begins to illuminate the dark corners of life. There are days when you feel everything around you is heavier. This happens because your light also bothers. In charged environments, it reveals what is hidden. And not everyone likes that. But do not be alarmed. This is also part of your mission. Being light is not just about enchanting. It is also about confronting what needs to change. Continue caring for what you carry. Continue being intentional with your faith, your choices, and your silences. You do not need to force anything. Those who carry light do not need to explain themselves. The presence already does the work. The truth arrives before the words. Your shine is a silent message that God is with you. Even if sometimes you feel small, remember this. Those who shine spiritually do not depend on a stage, spotlight, or audience. Your light reaches the invisible. It heals, comforts, directs. And wherever you go, something always changes. This is not luck or coincidence. It is purpose. It is presence. And above all, it is proof that you have been set apart. Not always do words have the greatest impact. Sometimes what marks someone the most is what was left unsaid. And you know very well how that feels. You do not feel the need to explain yourself all the time, nor to compete for space in noisy conversations, because you have already understood that your presence communicates more than 1,000 speeches. While many strive to be heard, you remain at peace. And still, you attract attention. Your way of observing, your posture in the face of situations, the way you handle difficult moments, all of this conveys a strong message. People sense that there is depth in you, and that by itself speaks volumes. Your silence is not empty. It has weight. It is the silence of someone who has faced internal wars, of someone who has been broken and rebuilt, of someone who carries truths that do not need to be proven. When you enter a space, you do not need to say anything. Your energy speaks, your gaze speaks, your spirit speaks, and those who have sensitivity notice it right away. This sometimes confuses others. Some do not understand how you can be so firm without needing to raise your voice. But this firmness did not come from outside. It was born from within. It is the result of a process. It is the kind of authority that does not depend on positions or titles. It is the authority of one who has been set apart, and knows it. Being someone who speaks through silence is a rare gift. In times when everyone shouts, those who can remain silent with wisdom stand out naturally, because the world falls silent in the presence of authenticity. And your authenticity is not in the words you choose, but in the truth you carry. Perhaps you have already noticed that, in moments of conflict, your silence is more respected than the opinions of others. This happens because your spirit is not there to prove anything, but to remind that there is another way, the way of peace, clarity, and awareness. And this disarms any environment. Your silence also has the power to protect. Instead of reacting to provocations or attacks, you have learned to guard your energy. Not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. You have already understood that not everything deserves a response, and that there are victories that only come to those who know how to wait in silence. This is spiritual maturity. Continue as you are. Speak when necessary, but never underestimate what your silence is already saying. Sometimes it heals. Sometimes it confronts. Other times, it simply brings peace. But in all cases, it speaks, and those who have ears to hear will understand. You no longer walk in the same places as before, not because you think you are better, but because your soul no longer fits there. The empty conversations, the aimless disputes, the cycles that revolve around appearance and approval. All of that has lost its luster for you. It's as if something inside has changed seasons. This is not pride, it is maturity. At some point in your journey, you were pulled closer to something greater. God began to reveal things to you that other people still cannot see. And from that point on, your gaze became deeper, your spirit more attentive, and your presence more selective. This is spiritual growth. People notice this difference. Some approach wanting to understand how you manage to keep your peace amid chaos. Others simply observe from afar with a silent admiration. You have become a reference without making an effort. Not because you want to be an example, but simply by living in a way that is coherent with what you believe. Many times you even try to fit in with the same groups as before, but something always reminds you. You no longer belong to this. And that's okay. Growing hurts, but it liberates. When your connection to the higher deepens, your connections here on earth also change. And you begin to understand that being aligned with purpose is worth more than being popular. The spiritual level you have reached did not come easily. It was built in silence, in tears, in nights of prayer that no one saw. It was in solitude that God strengthened you. And now you carry this as an invisible force that directs your choices and your way of living. People feel it, even if they can't explain how. On the outside, everything may seem ordinary, but on the inside, you carry a clarity that many are still seeking. And this clarity makes you calmer in storms, firmer in decisions, and lighter in relationships. You have already understood that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your life is the testimony. This new level does not distance you from people. It changes the type of company you attract. Those who do not want to change will feel uncomfortable. Those who are in search of meaning will draw closer. Because your presence inspires. Your way of living shows that it is possible to walk in faith without losing sensitivity. And that touches more than any preaching. Continue on this path. Do not try to go back just to please those who are still not ready. Those who need to catch up will find you where you are. Your spiritual level is not a pedestal. It is a mission. You have been called to be a bridge, not a wall. And as much as this brings weight, it also brings purpose. You have tried to please everyone. You have shaped words, attitudes, and even thoughts just to fit in. But there came a point when all of this began to wear you out. It no longer made sense to live in hiding to be accepted. That's when you understood. Living the truth is lighter than living while seeking approval. Today, you no longer need the validation of others to feel secure. You have learned to trust in your conviction, even when it is silent and misunderstood. This does not make you arrogant. It makes you whole. Because those who live from the inside out carry a freedom that is impressive and attractive. The world pays attention to those who do not beg for attention. You may not even realize it, but your firmness creates impact. People look at you and wonder how you manage to go on so confidently, without caring so much about applause or opinions. The answer is simple. You have already understood that human approval is unstable, and you have decided to align your life with something that remains, even when everyone changes their minds. Those who are chosen do not live for praise, they live for purpose. And purpose has the power to keep you firm, even when no one is applauding. That is what makes you stand out. While many chase after recognition, you follow your path with humility. And that is precisely what causes the spotlight to find you, without you needing to seek it. Your essence does not negotiate with convenience. You say what you need to, even if it causes discomfort. You do what you believe, even if no one understands. This creates impact. Because in a world where almost everything is appearance, those who live with truth become a point of light in the midst of confusion. And this light never goes unnoticed. Rejection no longer scares you like it did before. Because now you know, being rejected for living your truth hurts much less than being accepted for living a lie. And this spiritual maturity is what keeps you steady when many fall apart. You have learned to listen to your own soul, and this guides you with precision. Of course, sometimes the desire to be understood still arises. It's natural. But soon you remember, not everything needs to be explained. There is a type of peace that only comes when we stop trying to convince the world of who we are. And you have already reached that place. A place where silence is worth more than 1,000 justifications. This emotional independence frightens some people. They don't know how to deal with those who do not bend, with those who do not live for compliments or likes. But it also inspires. Because deep down, everyone desires this freedom, even if few have the courage to seek it. And you become an example not because you want to be one, but simply by living as you are. You are not trying to prove anything. Your life is your message. And it speaks volumes. Wherever you go, people feel this gentle firmness, this security that comes from above, not from the opinions of others. That is what makes you remarkable. It is what sets you apart. It is what confirms that you have been called to something greater. Continue on this path. Continue listening to the voice of God, above the voices around you. The first one who approved you was heaven. And when heaven approves, it does not matter who tries to belittle you. Your journey has direction, and those with direction do not need an audience. They need purpose, and that you already have. Have you ever entered a place and felt strange looks, even without having done anything? Have you noticed people distancing themselves or treating you coldly, for no apparent reason? That happens. And as uncomfortable as it is, many times it has nothing to do with what you do, but rather with what you carry. Your light bothers people, and it's not because you try to shine more than others. On the contrary, many times you even prefer to go unnoticed. But you can't. Your presence confronts. Your way of being at peace, of standing firm, of living with truth. All of this touches places that many people try to hide. Some people live distracted, fleeing from themselves. When they encounter someone like you, who carries clarity, faith, integrity, they feel discomfort. Not because you are the problem, but because you reflect something that they still don't have the courage to face. Your presence reveals contrasts, and this activates feelings that were dormant within them. You may have felt this in old friendships that have cooled, in relatives who began to look at you differently, or in environments where your name bothers even in silence. At first, this can be confusing, but later you understand. There is something in you that stirs the environment, even without a word. It is the weight of spiritual presence. This is not your fault. You do not need to carry this weight as if you have done something wrong. What happens is that your spiritual light does not have an off switch. It is with you all the time, because it comes from above, not from you. And where there is light, shadows inevitably become visible. It is automatic. You can even try to hide, avoid friction, be kind to everyone. But even so, there will be those who feel bothered. And that's okay. This is part of the journey of those who have been set apart. Not everyone will applaud you. Not everyone will understand you. But many will be touched, even if they do not have the courage to say so. Continue being light, even when it seems that it generates rejection. You did not come to please everyone. You came to manifest what you carry. And that has power. Those who are open will be blessed by your presence. Those who are not may become irritated. But even so, they will be impacted, because no one remains indifferent in the presence of someone who lives with truth. You do not need to change your essence to be accepted. You do not need to dim your light to fit into old spaces. If what you carry bothers, it is a sign that it is working. Light was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to illuminate. And sometimes, illuminating means showing what was dark, even if that causes discomfort. And the most curious thing is that over time, many of those who today feel irritated by your presence will one day come back looking for advice, asking for prayer, or simply wanting to be near. Because what you carry may confront at first, but transforms in the end. And that is part of your mission. Be faithful to what is inside you. Keep walking in peace, even when that generates noise around you. Those who understand you will walk with you. Those who do not understand will learn from your example. And those who do not want to learn, well, even they end up being touched. Because light once lit can no longer be ignored. Have you noticed that, even without intending to, you end up attracting attention? People start conversations, observe you in silence, ask for your opinion even when you are not the one speaking the loudest. It's as if there is an invisible field around you that awakens curiosity, respect, and even admiration. This is not about charisma. It is about essence. It is not an empty popularity, built with effort or the pursuit of attention. It is a natural attraction. Those who carry light, wisdom, and truth will always attract. Sometimes it may even be uncomfortable, because you are not trying to be the center of attention. You are just living your life with purpose, and that by itself is powerful. This connection you generate with others comes from your alignment with something greater. When you live with a full heart, with integrity, with faith, the world takes notice. The energy shifts. People feel security, feel peace, feel truth. And this is magnetic. It is not you who forces the attraction. It is your essence that speaks for you. And the most beautiful part is that you are not trying to be someone different. You are simply being who you were called to be. And this, nowadays, is rare. That is why so many people approach you. Because living with purpose in a world full of distractions has become a kind of beacon. And you have become one of those beacons. Continue that way. Do not change to please. Do not dim your light to fit in. What attracts in you is not what you show, but what you are. And that cannot be copied, because what you carry comes from within, and it came from heaven. Your presence already speaks. Your life already inspires. And your path will still guide many others. If you feel that people notice you even when you are not trying, this is not by chance. It is identity. There is something in you that shines differently. A light that was not placed by men, but by heaven itself. And this light carries purpose. It did not come to make you famous. It came to make you useful in the divine plan. This spiritual mark you carry has weight. Sometimes it draws people closer. Other times it pushes them away. But always, in some way, it transforms. Your presence changes the environment. Your silence heals. Your choices inspire. And all of this happens not because you try to appear special, but because you have already been set apart from the beginning. Being chosen has its cost. You have felt this in your skin. Rejections, misunderstandings, isolations. But all of this was part of the preparation. Heaven does not waste pain. Everything you have gone through served to sharpen your sensitivity, strengthen your faith, and align your heart with something greater. Today, you are the answer for environments that are still lost. Don't try to fit in where your presence causes discomfort. Do not silence yourself to maintain the peace of others. Your light was not made to please. It was made to illuminate. Keep walking in truth, even when the path seems lonely. God knows who you are, and He does not make mistakes in His choice. Now that you have come this far, I want to hear from you too. Did you recognize yourself in any of these signs? Which one spoke to you the most? Leave it here in the comments. Your experience can touch someone who is still trying to understand their own calling.